You rest in stillness. The hush of night falls gently over your thoughts, and within the hush, another silence begins to speak. It does not come from outside you, but from within, from the smallest places in your body, where the hidden architecture of life curls in on itself like an ancient scroll. You imagine yourself shrinking down, softly, smoothly, until your skin stretches into a landscape, your cells vast and glowing like small moons. One opens before you, its nucleus, a quiet library, its strands of DNA curled tightly like sleeping vines. And there, within the double helix, two spiraling ribbons joined by invisible bridges, you see it. The alphabet of life. 4 letters, A, T, G, and C. No ink, no voice, just shapes, chemical and quiet, arranged in patterns that pulse with meaning. Adenine, thymine, guanine, cytosine. Their names are long, but tonight they are simply symbols. ATG, like lullabies in sequence. You drift closer, the letters are paired, always. A with T, G with C. They hold hands across the strands, like dancers, repeating ancient steps, a choreography written billions of years ago. They do not shout, but hum, a low and steady vibration that carries the instructions to make. Each cell of your body holds this text. Skin cells, blood cells, the gentle lining of your lungs. Each one carries your entire book, page after page, folded neatly into chromosomes, coiled to fit, but waiting, always waiting to be read. And how is it read? By touch. Tiny molecules called enzymes glide along the strands like readers with fingertips, feeling for the pattern. When they find a word, not like a word we speak, but a command in this cellular tongue, they pause, they call in helpers. They copy. They build. A strand is opened, like the parting of delicate curtains, and its message is translated into action. A protein is born, a shape, a function, a piece of you. The color of your eyes, the rhythm of your heartbeat, the ability to taste something sweet, all whispered from these simple letters. You were written, long before you ever took your first breath, and yet this writing is not rigid. It breathes, it shifts, it responds. Sometimes, a single letter is changed, an A becomes a G, a T drifts out of place, and just like a story altered by a single word, your body adapts. Some changes mean nothing, others echo across a lifetime, still others ripple through generations. This is how life evolves, not all at once, but letter by letter, like wind editing the desert sand. And it is not just your story. The same alphabet exists in every plant, every animal, every creature that swims or walks or grows toward the sun. The fern on your windowsill, the whale that sings beneath the sea, the beetle beneath a leaf, all made with the same 4-letter language. There is a kind of kinship in that. You are not just part of nature, you are written in the same ink. As you lie here, still and listening, you might imagine your own beginning. A single cell, carrying the full script of you. Not just your features, but your potential. Like a seed holding the memory of a tree. And though trillions of cells now form your body, they still listen to that original message. They still read its lines. They still know who you are. It is a comforting thought that something so small can hold something so vast, that in every corner of your body there is a quiet intelligence, a remembering. Not of words, but of structure. Not of facts, but of form and function, of shape and process, of becoming. The DNA doesn't speak in sentences, but in sequences. It doesn't argue or persuade. It whispers what is and what might be. And though you never hear it with your ears, you feel its music in every heartbeat, in every breath, in every healing wound and blinking eye. You are not separate from it. You are it. And as you imagine yourself floating through this inner world, the soft spirals, the steady bonds, the quiet workers who read and build and fold, you begin to see yourself not as a single being, but as a symphony of tiny messages, playing in harmony. You are not a finished book, but an ongoing poem. Every moment, your cells rewrite small lines. They respond to sunlight, to food, to feeling. They adjust, they translate, they adapt. The language of life is not static. It listens. Some parts of your DNA are ancient, older than mountains, shared with fish and fungi and forests. Other parts are uniquely yours, rearrangements and variations that have never existed before. You are both a continuation and a beginning. And that is the wonder, that from 4 simple letters, A, T, G and C, all of life is composed, that a sequence can become a shape can become a thought can become a story, and a story can become a life. You breathe in, slow and deep, and you realize that your body is not a mystery to be solved, but a text to be felt, a poem whispered in chemistry, a lineage held in loops and spirals, a map of possibility. Outside, the stars may shimmer, but within, another kind of constellation glows, not in the sky, but in your cells. And as you listen to this internal starlight, you find yourself wondering, if DNA is the language, then what is the message? You lie still, eyes closed, the quiet of night wrapping around you like a warm mist. Beneath your skin, beneath muscle and bone, a silent river winds its way through you, not of water, but of information, tiny strands twisted like braided threads hidden in every cell. It doesn't rush, it doesn't roar, it flows slowly, deliberately, coiling inside you like ancient script folded into soft envelopes millions of times over. Each cell, a quiet library, each strand, a page in the story of life. You are made of this story, and the story is old. Imagine this river beginning, not in your body, but far beyond it, far before it, a single cell, floating in a warm, shallow pool 4 billion years ago. It twitched, trembled and divided, holding within it the earliest whispers of what would one day become you. That ancient molecule, simple, fragile, was the first carrier of instruction. Its shape was different then, but its purpose was the same: to remember, to build, to carry life forward. Now drift with that memory, float backward through time, past your parents, past theirs, past the branching limbs of your family tree until the tree disappears and becomes a forest, until even the forest disappears, and you're drifting among creatures without names. A fin flicks, a gill stirs, each one carries a version of that same river, flowing from the past into the present. You are not separate from these lives. You are the continuation of them. Your DNA carries echoes of fins, of feathers, of fur, instructions once used to swim, to crawl, to climb. They're still folded inside you, some dormant, like sleeping embers, some still awake, guiding the rhythm of your breath, the shape of your hands, the tilt of your voice. And yet, despite its age, DNA is not fixed. It adapts, bending gently with each generation, not like a brittle stone, but like clay that molds with time and experience. Sometimes a small letter changes, sometimes a piece is lost, or a new one is added. These changes are like eddies in the current, little swirls of chance. Most pass quietly, unnoticed, but some ripple outward, shifting the path, reshaping the banks, creating something entirely new. You too are part of this reshaping. The river didn't stop when you arrived. Inside your body, cells still divide, DNA still coils, uncoils, reads itself aloud. It directs a symphony of tasks, healing wounds, growing nails, dreaming dreams, each note written in the soft spiral of that code. Sometimes, the river encounters a stone, a mutation, a blockage, a divergence. But even then, it finds a way to flow around it, or through it, or to carve an entirely new channel. This is how evolution happens, not as a race, not as a ladder, but as a winding, meandering stream, taking many paths at once, some of which lead in time to something never seen before. Even now, as you rest, your cells are humming with that slow, silent song. DNA is being copied, repaired, passed on. You are not a finished product. You are a process, a temporary gathering of memories, all bound together by this elegant molecule, stretching backward in time, and someday forward again. Think of your ancestors, not only the ones with names and faces, but those deep in the past, who left no stories except the ones written into your body. Their laughter, their struggles, their hungers, all carried forward as quiet adaptations, etched into the language of cells. You are the heir to every survival, to every leap from predator, to every spark lit in a cave, to every lullaby sung into the dark. And now, with this knowledge, you are the storyteller, you carry the thread. Each choice you make, each kindness you show, becomes part of the world that future rivers will flow through. Your DNA may pass forward, or not, but your impact, your movement through the stream, it matters, for the river doesn't only flow through the body, it flows through culture, through memory, through imagination, and as you breathe, slowly, gently, you can feel that connection, a soft pulse in the chest, a quiet awareness. This molecule, so small, so silent, carries galaxies of information. It tells your cells when to grow, when to stop. It shapes your iris, your fingerprints, your ability to feel the warmth of another's hand. It does not command, but suggest, not a dictator, but a guide. And you are the result of billions of tiny suggestions, flowing together, like water into a lake. Drift now into this thought, that the same molecule that builds a sunflower, builds you, that the blueprint for a whale, a pine tree, a mushroom, shares ancient pieces with your own. We are all made of variations on the same poem. What a gentle, astonishing truth, that life does not begin and end with any one being, that it flows, that it remembers, that it continues. And as your breathing slows, and your body softens into stillness, the river within you flows on. Unseen, unhurried, faithful, it carries the past in every current, but it also looks forward, quietly preparing for whatever shore might come next. And just ahead, around the bend, lies another mystery. How do these coded instructions, this quiet river, become consciousness, become thought, become you? You lie still in the hush of night, wrapped in the quiet of your breath, and inside you, deeper than the pulse in your wrist or the rhythm of your lungs, something older is singing. It is not loud, it is not made of sound, but it hums in every cell, shaping your eyelashes, your memories, the curve of your fingers. This is the lullaby of life, and it begins with only 4 notes: T, C, and G. They are not musical notes, not in the way you might hum a tune, but they are the alphabet of your body's most intimate instructions. Adenine, thymine, cytosine, guanine. These 4 tiny molecules pair and repeat, fold and stretch, spinning out sequences in the double helix strands of DNA. And though they are simple alone, in their arrangement they compose the most complex song known to life. Imagine a thread, so thin it slips past your eye's ability to see it, wound up tightly, like a scroll hidden inside the heart of every cell. That thread carries a story, yours, every trait you wear like a whisper from your ancestors, your laugh, the scent of your skin, the freckles that scatter like stars across your shoulders, is written in those 4 letters, sung over and over again. But this melody doesn't play straight through. It loops, it echoes, it knows how to repeat. You are not a single performance, you are a chorus of copies, every cell harmonizing the same core song, playing it in their own way, liver cells humming their part, neurons weaving it into thought, bone cells carving rhythm into structure. And still, the melody never grows old. With each cell that divides, the tune is copied. Sometimes, the notes are transcribed perfectly, like a monk tracing a sacred text. Other times, a single letter might slip, a T becomes a C, a G is skipped entirely. These changes are mutations. Most are harmless, forgotten in the background noise. Some bring color to your eyes, or protect you from disease. A few might change the music altogether. Yet the system endures. The double helix, that graceful spiral, is not just a structure, it is a mechanism for memory. Picture it, 2 ribbons twisting, held together by a pattern of rungs, each one a pair of letters clicking into place. With T, C with G, Like the way piano keys fall into chords, these bass pairs resonate with purpose. Their symmetry ensures fidelity, their simplicity allows flexibility. This code, this dance of molecules, is older than any written language, more consistent than any human tongue. Every creature alive, from a hummingbird to a sunflower, to the person next to you on the train, builds their body from this same four-letter alphabet. It is a shared grammar of existence, endlessly rearranged, but universally understood. In the earliest oceans, billions of years ago, before eyes, before breath, before even the first heartbeat, the very first fragments of this melody formed. They weren't alive, not yet. But they began to copy themselves. And with every copy came a chance to shift, to stretch, to become something just a little different. In time, the song learned to fold itself into cells, and the cells learned to swim, to cluster, to dream of something more. That first code has never stopped singing. It sang in the fins of fish and the wings of birds. It shaped the paws of wolves and the petals of orchids. And eventually, it shaped your hands, your brain, your voice. You are not separate from this tune. You are its echo, its latest verse. There is something soothing in its minimalism, only 4 building blocks, yet with them, the color of your iris, the rate of your heartbeat, the way you metabolize sugar, the shape of your thoughts. Think of it like origami. A single sheet of paper, folded again and again in precise ways, becomes a crane, a dragon, a blooming lily. Your genome folds proteins in much the same way, using its coded instructions to shape the tools your cells need to live. These proteins are the instruments of the song. They are built from instructions in the DNA, translated through a delicate process, transcription and translation, like whispering words from one language into another. First, a gene is copied into RNA, a sort of working version of the melody. Then, ribosomes read the RNA like a musician, sight reading a score, assembling amino acids into proteins one note at a time. Each cell contains this entire orchestra, but not all instruments play at once. Different cells read different parts of the DNA. A skin cell listens to one passage, a muscle cell follows another. This selective listening is what gives your body diversity. Yet the sheet music remains the same in every cell, a shared foundation, like a common memory held by a million voices. Still, the song is not rigid. Your DNA does not dictate destiny with iron notes. Environment, chance, emotion, even silence, all leave room for improvisation. Your genes are more like possibilities than commands. They open doors, but do not force you through. They offer blueprints, but your life draws the final design. And as you lie there, in the quiet dark, perhaps you can feel it, that subtle sense that you are being carried, by lineage, by rhythm, by the delicate inheritance of a tune that has traveled unbroken from the first spark of life to the unique miracle of you. There is poetry in the repetition, in the way your body remembers what it once was, even as it becomes something new. The DNA in your cells is the same that sang in your mother and hers before her, reaching back beyond memory, beyond names. You are not just a listener of this melody, you are now part of its composition. One day, your cells may pass the song on. A child may carry your notes in their breath, but even if not, the melody continues. Life finds a way to echo. It always has. In the next chapter, we will look closer, zooming in on how this music becomes flesh, how the written song folds into the tools of living, how protein shaped from sequence becomes the movement of life. But for now, let your body hum its quiet song, unchanged and unbroken, a strand of letters, a loop of music, a lullaby still unfolding. You are quiet now, nestled into the gentle stillness of your own body, beneath the hush of breath and the slow tide of heartbeat. Something astonishing unfolds, a soft choreography, silent yet unbroken, etched not in light or sound, but in sequences and folds. In every one of your trillions of cells, a quiet miracle is always beginning. Here, inside this microscopic world, sits a library, not of books, but of code. A code ancient and unassuming, yet powerful enough to craft a human. Your DNA, curled tightly like a sleeping vine, waits patiently in the cell's nucleus. It holds the recipe for life, not just yours, but for all who came before and all who will come after. But DNA does not build on its own. It is more like a composer, writing notes on a silent page, waiting for the orchestra to awaken the sound. So the cell opens a passage, a brief moment of transcription, where the notes are copied out into a messenger, something called mRNA, a slender ribbon of possibility. The DNA stays safe, untouched, while the message leaves its quiet home and floats out into the cell like a boat on a still lake, carrying a single shimmering instruction. Tonight you follow that messenger. It drifts to a structure shaped like a harbor crane, the ribosome. The ribosome reads, not with eyes but with molecular patience, letter by letter, 3 at a time, each trio called a codon, like a word in a secret language, and from each codon an amino acid is summoned. Tiny building blocks, so small, so ancient, each with a particular character, a shape, a charge, a preference. One by one, the ribosome adds them, like threading beads on a necklace. But this is no ordinary strand. This is a chain that will twist and bend itself into purpose. You might imagine a sculptor with invisible hands, pressing and folding soft clay. The protein, newly born, begins to contort. It folds not randomly, but precisely, as if it remembers who it is. Some parts spiral into coils, alpha helices, others zigzag into sheets, beta strands. Still others loop and drape and turn inward, finding the balance between strength and softness. This folding is not a choice, it is a destiny, written into the sequence itself, like origami instructions hidden in the shape of the paper. Water helps, so does temperature, so do small companion molecules, whispering hints about how best to arrange, when to pause, when to curl, and sometimes it goes wrong. The folding falters, the shape misaligns, but the cell is patient, it sends helpers, they are called chaperones, caretakers of shape. Chaperone proteins hover like gentle midwives, helping the newborn fold correctly, guiding, never forcing, until the structure is right. And when the shape is right, something quiet and glorious happens. Function is born. The protein, once a meaningless chain, now becomes a key, a tool, a messenger, a doer. It might become part of a muscle, or ferry oxygen through blood. It might spark a thought, or make your skin glow in sunlight. Each protein has a place, a destination, a purpose. Even the tiniest one, even the protein you're watching now, is vital to the music of life playing softly inside you. And this is not a single performance. This is constant. Thousands, millions of proteins shaped every hour, each one crafted with care, folded with memory, given to the cell like a poem. Sometimes, the code mutates, a letter changes, a word shifts, the shape changes, and sometimes, so does the song. But even there is a strange and elegant resilience. Some misfolds are caught, some corrected, some even turned into new beauty. You float now, deeper still into this world where form becomes function, where matter becomes meaning. A protein is not just a molecule, it is history made physical, a fossil of intention, a whisper of ancient adaptation in your very cells. Think of insulin, calming sugar in your blood. Think of keratin, giving your hair its strength. Think of hemoglobin, binding oxygen so you can dream. Each one began like this, a string, a fold, a function, and each one still begins like this, even now, even tonight, as you lie still and breathing, while inside you, the quiet work of life continues. No one tells the protein what to become, it simply follows the pattern, a logic more ancient than language, more trustworthy than thought. You are in part made of this obedience to form, of chains that fold and unfold, of codes that read themselves into reality, of sculptures shaped from invisible clay. It is humbling to know that your body trusts these tiny architects, that deep within you, Every second, without thought, these masterpieces are being formed, and all you had to do was sleep. And so we leave the protein now, newborn and perfect, shaped and set loose into the body's wide terrain. It will find its place, it will do its work, and in time, like all things, it will fade. But the code remains, the ribosome waits, the next messenger is already arriving. The next chain begins to form, and somewhere, just beyond the fold, another story waits, whispering from the membrane, where signals shimmer like soft echoes in water. You are lying still now, your breath soft and even, and though your outer world has quieted, deep inside a delicate hum continues. Within you, beneath skin and bone and the slow rhythm of your heart, a symphony of maintenance plays out, a patient choreography of care. Inside every one of your trillions of cells, there is a story being told, not in words, but in molecules, in twisted spirals of DNA curled up like ancient scrolls. These scrolls are read and copied endlessly, guiding every movement, every moment. But the act of copying, like all things in nature, is never perfect. There are errors, soft slips of the biological pen, but you are not left unguarded. There are sentinels in your cells, tiny molecular machines, crafted by time and necessity, patrol the double helix. They glide along your DNA like careful editors, scanning for misplaced letters, broken code, mismatched partners. They carry with them tiny scissors, and even tinier patches, and when they find a flaw, they pause, snip, repair, smooth it over, continue. Imagine them now. One such enzyme, shaped like a clasped hand, drifting along a strand of your DNA in a single skin cell on your arm. Outside, the world is quiet. Inside, it focuses, it finds a cytosine where there should be a thymine. The strands ripple, the mistake is marked. With a delicacy more precise than any human tool, it corrects the error. A small act of devotion, invisible to you, yet essential to your continued being. Sometimes the editors miss a spot, a typo is copied, then copied again. Some of these go unnoticed, having no consequence. Others may subtly change a protein's shape, like a sculptor carving a cheekbone just a touch too sharp. And others still can begin a cascade, a shift in the cell's behavior, an invitation to chaos. But even chaos is part of a larger order. It is through these gentle stumbles that life has learned to walk a new way. Evolution is not a straight line, but a meandering river. It takes detours, branches, and curls back on itself. The DNA repair mechanisms you carry, they too were shaped by such accidents. They are imperfect, because perfection never had a blueprint, only time. Each error that escapes correction carries a whisper of possibility. Most lead nowhere. A few change everything. Some make you more resilient, more able to heal, to think, to be. This is how the eye came to see, how the hand came to grasp, how your brain came to dream. One copied mistake at a time. Nature experimenting, not by design, but by patient persistence. You are the result of countless such edits and errors, of stories mended and stories that veered. Your cells carry the memory of ancient struggles, from single-celled organisms, fighting off viral invaders, to the slow evolution of vertebrates, who learn to walk and breathe and feel. DNA repair is one of the oldest forms of love your body knows, the silent tending of a fragile truth. These repairs happen in the darkness, in the marrow of your bones, in the tender lining of your lungs, in the soft vessels behind your eyes. They are tireless, unseen, and they do not ask for rest. Even as you sleep, they carry on. Not all errors can be repaired, though. Some are baked into your cells at birth, inherited from your parents, passed down like a line of verse spoken again and again, through generations. Others come from outside, a sliver of sunlight, a breath of smoke, the slow wear of time. Yet here you are, breathing, dreaming, mending. Your cells are not trying to be perfect. They are trying to continue, to live, adapt, and tell the story again tomorrow. Even the mistakes become part of the melody. You are not a single fixed version of yourself. You are a symphony of edits, a manuscript, forever being rewritten. And in that fluidity, there is something beautiful, a kind of gentle resilience that does not resist change, but flows with it. When you think of your body, think also of the editors, quiet and precise, catching most mistakes before they can do harm. Think of their ancient diligence, their loyalty to your form. They are not flawless, but they are enough. Enough to give you a childhood, enough to bring you into this moment, enough to carry you toward tomorrow. And think too of the errors they miss, how those have shaped the world, the extra feathers of a bird that helped it soar farther, the slight twist in a gene that allowed a fish to breathe air, the change in brain wiring that gave humans the gift of language, of story, of thought. Without errors, there would be no imagination, no difference, no you. As you drift closer to sleep, know that your body is not static. It is a living history, constantly retelling itself, with care. What was once broken is often healed. What cannot be fixed becomes part of the tapestry, not a flaw, but a thread. The editors continue their quiet work. Even now, somewhere a nucleotide pair clicks into place. Somewhere else, a protein folds just right. And somewhere still, a new mistake is made. Perhaps one that will mean nothing. Perhaps one that will ripple forward in time, a soft nudge to a future you cannot see. Sleep, knowing that in the quiet corners of your cells, a story is being written. It is a story of attention and persistence, of flaws and forgiveness, of change woven through with continuity. And as you turn the page to the next breath, to the next moment of rest, you wonder softly, what else deep inside you is waiting to be edited or embraced, not as error, but as evolution unfolding. You lie back, letting your breath settle, soft and low, like a lull between waves. The quiet hum inside you is more than just your heartbeat. It is memory humming in your cells, in every strand of you, in a spiral that reaches back through time. This is your inheritance, passed not in words, but in code. DNA, 3 letters that hold a script older than language, written not in ink, but in molecules, adenine, thymine, guanine, cytosine. These letters curl and twist like vines, like threads in an ancient tapestry. Each loop, each rung, holds instructions on how your heart should beat, how your eyes should shimmer in the morning light, how your lungs should bloom with breath. It is a soft murmur from the past, shaping you from the inside out. You are not built from scratch, you are assembled from echoes, from the quiet wisdom of those who came before, that curl in your hair, a whisper from your grandmother. The way your fingers fold, the lilt of your laughter, even the rhythm of your sleep, these are notes in a genetic song that began long before your name was known. And further back still, before mothers and grandmothers, there were beings without names, without voices, pulsing in the sea's warm shallows. The very first cells to divide, to copy themselves, to try again and again. They didn't know you would come, but they made the path. Their code, fragile and small, made it through fire and ice, through comet strikes and silent nights, passed forward, passed again, always changing, but always surviving. In you, there are stories written millions of years ago. Your blood carries instructions that once flowed through fish, through tiny mammals clinging to trees, through ape-like beings watching stars through branches. You are built from their choices, their fears, their endurance, not in thought, but in the quiet folding of molecules, a subtle legacy. Every cell of you reads the code. Each time a skin cell renews or a cut heals, it consults the same ancient manuscript. Quietly, patiently. The script is not read all at once, it's interpreted like music played slowly, section by section depending on what is needed. Muscle, turn to page 6. Skin pigment, flip to page 14. Memory, immune response, tears, taste, all written, all waiting. You may not feel it, but inside you is a workshop of life, reading, copying, adjusting. Sometimes a single letter in the code changes, a mutation. Some are harmless, some lead to new traits, new shapes, a slight shift in your nose, a resistance to a disease, a gift, a burden. Most changes are quiet, unnoticed, but they ripple forward, passed down, tiny edits in a story still being written. Close your eyes and imagine your DNA glowing inside you like a scroll of firelight. It is coiled and compacted in every cell, but if unspooled, it would stretch for miles, and you have trillions of cells. The code is long, longer than you can picture, but it folds neatly, patiently, like origami made of stars, and it's not just the sequence that matters, it's how it's read. Like music, the same notes can become a lullaby or a storm, depending on the tempo, the emphasis, the pauses. Your environment, what you breathe, eat, feel, can influence which parts of the code are sung out loud and which remain silent. This is epigenetics, the melody your body chooses to play, shaped by life's rhythm around you. It means you're not just shaped by your ancestors, you're also shaping the future. What you feel, endure, survive. These can leave gentle imprints, not in your thoughts, but in the code's behavior. Stress, nurture, hunger, calm, all can ripple forward. Your story does not end with you. You may wonder then, who are you, really? Are you just a string of letters, just a vessel for ancient code? No, you are more than the recipe. You are the reader of it, the interpreter, the voice. Your DNA does not tell you who to love, how to dream, or when to weep at music. It gives you the stage and the actors, but you write the lines. You shape meaning from matter. A poet built from proteins. Still your body remembers. The shape of your jaw may mirror someone who lived before language. The way your immune system guards you is a gift from ancestors who survived plagues. You are a living archive, built from survival, compassion, and chance. And as you breathe now, gently and slowly, that archive lives on. Every second, cells divide, copying the script again. Sometimes with tiny errors, little glitches in the scribe's hand. This too is part of the story. Change is how life grows, how it adapts. Evolution is not a leap, but a whispering tide. Think of fire, passed hand to hand, generation to generation. DNA is that fire, warm, flickering, never quite still. It is life's candle, and you carry it, just as it was carried to you. Even the stars once cradled that code. Not literally perhaps, but the atoms in your DNA, the carbon, nitrogen, phosphorus, were forged in stellar furnaces. Explosions of suns seeded the universe with ingredients for life. You are not only a child of ancestors, but of galaxies, a strand of sky, woven into flesh. So lie still, listen. Inside you, millions of tiny engines spin, fold, read, repair, each doing their quiet part to keep the story going. It's not loud, it's not flashy, but it's sacred, and it is always, always moving forward. As you drift towards sleep, know that you are not alone in your body. You carry the memory of oceans, of forests, of firelit caves. You carry the long breath of survival, the ache of wonder. You carry mothers you've never met, and stardust you've never seen. And the story continues. In the next Hush, we'll explore how that story isn't written in just you, but shared, shaped, and exchanged in the most invisible of ways. Close your eyes, sink gently beneath the skin of your present form, past your name, your story, the places that shaped you. Let them dissolve like mist at dawn. You're floating backward through time, yet not into memories of your own. This is older, deeper. You are traveling into the marrow of life itself. Picture the earth not as it is, but as it was before history had a name, a world of fire and breath and silence. The land is raw, oceans stretch wide and warm, stirred by moonlight and heat. In these waters something stirs, not a creature yet, just a whisper in chemistry, a tingle in the soup of elements. Life, barely beginning, a single cell divides. Again and again a rhythm starts, a pulse. This, you feel, is the first beat of a long and winding song. You are not separate from it. You are made of it. From that simple cell, time spirals outward like the limbs of an ancient tree. Picture it now, vast and slow growing, its roots sunk into the molten crust of earth, its trunk thick with the patience of eons. Every fork, every branch is a choice life made, a direction it dared to grow. You climb this tree not with limbs, but with memory, the quiet memory of mitochondria in your cells, of genes passed hand to hand like folded notes across 1 billion years. You drift past the branch where some cells learn to breathe, past another where they link together in filaments, sheets and shells. You see jellyfish blooming in warm tides, their bodies like drifting thoughts. You feel the soft muscle of early worms, the armored curiosity of trilobites. Then a great experiment. Creatures step from water to land. Some fail, returning to the sea. Others endure. Ferns rise like green smoke. Insects trill their tiny songs in primeval air. Amphibians blink under stars no human has ever named. You are among them, a quiet witness, a ghost of your own beginnings, and still the tree grows. Dinosaurs thunder past, immense and strange, and then vanish like forgotten dreams. Mammals emerge, cautious at first, then bold, then vast in number. Some grow fur, some climb trees, one lineage walks upright. It is here that something stirs in you again, a glimmer of familiarity, a whisper of the shape you now wear. But still the journey continues, because you are not just a human, you are not just this single blossom on the tree, you are the whole forest behind it. Feel the weight of that truth. The cells in your blood once belonged to fish. The curve of your spine echoes swimming. The way you blink, the way your heart beats. These are old songs. You are not the pinnacle of life. You are its continuation. And life, it turns out, is not a ladder climbing upward, but a tree that branches in all directions. Every species alive is a leaf, trembling on a twig, not superior, not separate, just part of the same astonishing experiment, and like leaves, we fall. But the tree goes on. Can you feel the hum of that lineage within you? It's not loud, it's not proud, but it's there in your fingertips, in your breath, in the silent instructions woven into every one of your cells. Instructions written not in ink, but in a language of molecules. DNA. It coils inside you like a quiet thread of time, tying you not just to parents and grandparents, but to jellyfish and oak trees, to fungi and feathered birds, to glowing plankton in the deep sea. And even now it changes. Even now life reshapes itself in response to what it learns. Because this tree is alive, it is not a frozen map of the past. It is a growing, reaching, trying thing. And you are one of its thoughts, one of its questions, one of its dreams. So breathe here beneath its great canopy. Feel its shadow stretch across deep time, cooling your skin. Hear the rustle of possibility in its leaves. Not just what was, but what might yet be. Evolution never ends. The story you come from is not finished. You are part of its unfolding. And though your memories do not stretch back this far, your body remembers. It knows how to swim before it knows how to walk. It fears snakes and heights before it learns language. It seeks warmth, contact, safety, the instincts passed from long ago kin who survived through care and connection. You are not isolated. You are deeply, quietly, and eternally connected. As you lie still tonight, let that comfort you. You are not adrift in the dark. You are rooted in something vast and ancient, a web of life so intricate, so resilient. It has outlived ice ages, volcanoes, extinctions and storms. It has survived through you. So when the night feels wide and silent, remember you are not alone in the dark. You are surrounded by echoes, by cousins with feathers and scales and leaves, by the deep intelligence of trees and the humming thought of bees. They are family. And you are home. Now rest, little leaf. The tree still holds you, still grows, still dreams through you. And as you drift, a quiet question rustles the leaves. Not where did you come from, but where else might this great tree grow next? You lie back, still and quiet, as if the world itself is holding its breath. A soft hush lingers in the air, like pages turning gently in a book too old to remember its own story. Beneath your skin, beneath the soft whisper of your breath, deeper than memory, something ancient stirs. Inside every cell in your body, there is a script, not written in ink or stone, but in a language made of 4 letters, A, T, C, G. The letters arrange and rearrange, spinning instructions like tiny wind chimes in the dark, catching the breeze of life. They guide the shape of your hands, the rhythm of your heart, the way your eyes gather light. But this code, as elegant as it is, does not always speak without error. Sometimes a letter is lost, or a new one slips in where it shouldn't. A C becomes a T, a line is repeated twice, or skipped entirely. A copy is made with a smudge, a crack in the mirror of inheritance. These are mutations, and though the word may feel sharp and strange here in this quiet hour, we let it soften. A mutation is not a mistake, it is a variation, a whisper added to an old melody, a brushstroke in a mural that stretches across generations. Most mutations are silent. They arrive unnoticed and drift away without a trace, like dreams that evaporate before dawn. Some change nothing at all. Others, just a little, a slightly different shade of eye, a curl in the hair that wasn't there before. But once in a while one lands in just the right place, and something new begins. Imagine a single-celled creature swimming through the warm shallows of a young earth. It divides, then divides again, each copy nearly perfect, but never quite. One day, a tiny change appears in the code. This change lets it cling to a grain of sand. It doesn't seem like much, but now instead of drifting, it can stay, and staying means surviving, and surviving means copying, and copying means spreading that change. This is how evolution writes itself, not with plans or destinations, but with trial and rhythm, like water carving stone. You are the result of billions of these changes, each ancestor passing down not only the code, but the little ripples in the code, the pauses, the skipped beats, the jazz in the genome. You are not a single note, you are a symphony built from variations, each mutation a note that echoed long enough to become part of the chorus. There is no director, no hand choosing what stays or goes. Instead, the environment listens. It leans in, patient and observant, and favors the melodies that fit its rhythm. A colder climate might prefer thicker fur. A lush jungle might favor sharper vision. The song changes as the stage shifts. Not all changes are kind. Some bring difficulty, confusion, illness. But even these are part of the pattern, the way the system tests its own limits, exploring its own complexity. Even suffering, in this view, becomes a line in the wider poem, one that leads, through time and resilience, toward deeper understanding. And now we arrive at a question that trembles quietly in the dark. When does a collection of changes become something new? A fin becomes a limb, a scale becomes a feather, a creature walks where its ancestors swam, a bird sings where once there were only hisses in the air. These aren't leaps but long, slow dances of difference, tiny steps spread over millennia until the shape of life turns a corner and doesn't look back. You too are turning corners, not only from those ancient ancestors, but even from who you were yesterday. Your cells are always shifting, your thoughts mutating in small ways, memories fading, reshaping. You are not the same person who began this chapter, and that is beautiful. Close your eyes for a moment, and picture a single letter changing somewhere deep inside a cell, a tiny flicker in the darkness. No one notices it, not even the cell itself. But down the line, maybe generations later, a hand is steadier, a voice sings slightly sweeter, a mind reaches just a bit farther toward the stars. We often think of change as loud, sudden, violent, but most of it is quiet. Almost all of it is soft. Change comes not as thunder but as a sigh. It tiptoes in while no one is looking, and rewrites the story just a little. Even now, as you lie still in the hush of night, somewhere in you something might be shifting, not in a way you can feel, but in a way that may echo on, long after this moment has passed. So when you think of evolution, Do not picture only dinosaurs turning into birds or apes standing upright beneath the African sun. Picture the small moments, a molecule misread, a letter changed, a pause that wasn't there before, and in that pause, possibility. There's something oddly comforting in this, isn't there? That the future doesn't always arrive with fanfare, but sometimes with a quiet, invisible flicker in the dark, that we are not fixed, but always becoming. You inhale slowly. Somewhere, a cell divides, the night deepens, and the story continues, because after mutations comes something even stranger, how life begins to remember what works, how it starts to build with purpose, as if memory itself were being stitched into the cells. And that is where we are headed next. You begin with a breath, a quiet breath, the kind that settles you into the earth beneath, the sky above, the body in between, and within that body, though you can't feel it moving, something extraordinary hums softly in the dark. Your code, this code is not typed or spoken, it is written in the curled language of life, a twisting, winding double helix, repeating endlessly in nearly every cell of you. It carries no ink, no punctuation, just 4 letters, arranged and rearranged in countless ways. A for adenine, T for thymine, G for guanine, C for cytosine. These letters are not you, but they shape you. They hum beneath your skin, behind your eyes, within your blood, gently conducting the symphony of your being. You may wonder, what could such a strange script possibly reveal? The answer is everything, and more than everything. This code is a mirror, polished by time. Not polished like glass, but polished by survival, migration, love, accident and change. When you look into it, you're not looking at a single moment, you're gazing into millions of years, stacked and spiraled into the quiet interior of every cell. Imagine this. You are standing in a vast, darkened library. There are no books, only threads, thin, glowing, delicate. Each thread stretches back through centuries. Each strand leads not to a name, but to a people, a place, a path. These threads are your DNA, and they link you to every ancestor who passed that code onward, gently, generation by generation, all the way to you. Your code doesn't just say you, it says where you came from. Even if your memory doesn't, it says who you came from. Even if your family tree is tangled or lost, it says how your ancestors adapted to their environment, the altitude they lived in, the food they ate, the diseases they resisted. Every trait, from the curl of your hair to the way your muscles metabolize sugar, echoes choices made by ancestors long gone. A mutation here, tiny, quiet, but permanent. A deletion there, a vanished sequence that shaped the future. They are like brushstrokes on a self-portrait that took 100,000 years to paint. And here you are. Close your eyes for a moment and imagine your ancestors, not just the ones with names and stories, but the ones who lived before language, before agriculture, before maps. Picture them walking across land bridges, under unfamiliar stars. Hear the crunch of snow or sand beneath their feet. Feel the wind as it shifted across continents and centuries, brushing against their skin just as it brushes against yours now. Your code remembers these winds, in its own way. It remembers malaria and sunlight, remembers drought and famine. It remembers the long night, the crossing of seas, the sound of animal calls in jungles that no longer exist. And still, it whispers. Not all messages in your code are known to science. Some are mysteries, silent rooms with locked doors, but others sing clearly. They tell scientists where your ancestors once lived, and how they moved from place to place, carried by curiosity, climate, and survival. They tell of shared roots with people you've never met, strangers who might carry the same ancient twist in a gene, the same dormant resistance to a disease you've never heard of. And some of these strangers might not be human. Because deep within your code, if you look close enough, there are relics, old echoes, DNA from Neanderthals, Denisovans, other branches of the human family tree, long extinct but not entirely gone. They live on, in tiny traces within you. You are not only one species, but a mosaic of others. You carry fragments of beings who disappeared tens of thousands of years ago, and still, some part of them remains in how you dream, how you breathe, how your immune system guards the gates, and there's more. Your code is a storyteller, but it doesn't speak in sentences. It speaks in probabilities, in patterns, in echoes. Scientists can now read these echoes with astonishing clarity. A simple saliva swab can pull back the curtain on millennia, revealing whether your ancestors lived in the Arctic or the equator, whether they were farmers or foragers, whether they fled war or drought, or wandered simply to see what lay beyond the next hill. It can also trace kinships, long-lost cousins you'll never meet, scattered across continents, each holding a piece of a story once shared. Your genome is not a secret, it is a thread in a much larger cloth. Each test, each analysis, each discovery, tugs softly at that cloth, revealing more of its texture. But there is more than biology here, there is poetry, too. Because when you stare into your genetic code, you are not just learning about the past, you are learning how the past still lives within you, how choices made by people who never knew your name now shape the way your cells divide, the way your body heals, the way your eyes adjust to the moonlight. You are quite literally history made flesh, and what's more, you are unique. Despite all the patterns, despite all the shared ancestry, despite all the ancient echoes, there is no one in the world now, nor has there ever been, who carries your exact sequence. The code is a fingerprint of life itself, every letter carefully placed, yet endlessly rearranged. It is at once deeply personal and profoundly universal. You carry ancient Africa in your bones, you carry Ice Age Europe in your blood, you carry the resilience of survivors, the courage of wanderers, the quiet wisdom of those who endured. All of it is there, all of it is you. And as you rest now, breathing evenly, slowly, know that your code is still at work, still copying, still correcting, still remembering, the silent scribe of your body, whispering its story in every heartbeat. And as you wonder what other truths your code might hold, you may begin to feel the tug of a deeper question, not just where you came from, but what your mind, shaped by this history, is truly capable of becoming. You lie back and close your eyes. There is no hurry now, no destination to reach, no clocks to chase. Tonight, you are a quiet traveler, stepping gently into the past. Not the past of a few years or centuries, but something much older, much slower. Tonight, you are reading from the diary of life itself. Each page is not made of paper, it is made of stone, of fossils pressed into rock, of whispers encoded in DNA, of ancient oceans dried and buried, and of mountains once flat seabeds now crowned with snow. You begin with the familiar your own breath. Feel it, soft and steady, rising and falling like a wave. You are alive, a fact so simple, and yet so impossible. How did this come to be? To answer that, you must go back. Far back, the first pages are crowded. Dinosaurs roam beneath hot suns, feathers glint where scales once ruled. Giant dragonflies hum through oxygen-rich skies. But these are recent notes, late scribbles in the margin. You turn further still, the mammals appear, small and shivering, hiding in the shadows. They wait for a chance that comes when fire falls from the sky. A new chapter begins. Warm blood, sharp minds, fur-covered skin. But even this is not far enough. You turn past amphibians crawling from the waters, past armored fish and trilobites, past corals building cities of stone in quiet seas. Every turn is deeper, every chapter older, and yet the handwriting, the language of life, remains familiar. You pause at a page written in soft filaments, cells learning to share. Once they were alone, drifting, simple, selfish. But then a change. One cell swallowed another, not to consume it, but to live with it. And this partnership became a revolution. The first complex life was born. From that moment, evolution's diary changed its rhythm. Instead of single notes, there were harmonies, tissues, organs, senses. Some creatures grew eyes, others developed fins or leaves. Diversity bloomed like spring, but always, always, it came at a cost. For every life that thrived, many did not. For every success, 1,000 quiet endings. Extinction too is part of the tale. But even death writes in the diary, a comma, not an end. You drift further back. Now the pages are simpler, not silent, never silent, but quieter. One cell, just one, floating in a young sea under a red sky. No nucleus yet, no organelles, just a membrane, and a whisper of metabolism. But this tiny wobbling speck, is alive. It makes copies of itself. It changes, mutates. It learns without knowing. It adapts without intention. It does not dream, but it persists. This is the dawn of biology. The ink of the diary becomes molecular. Chains of RNA, fragile and looping. They fold, they break, they reform. Some are better at surviving, some better at copying, and those, just those, begin to outnumber the rest. Time is not measured in days here, not even in millennia. It is counted in generations, in trillions of tiny experiments run blindly by chemistry. And somewhere, in all this quiet trial and error, something remarkable happens. Information begins to store itself. You open the oldest pages now. These are not made of stone or bone. They are written in the sea, in carbon and nitrogen, and phosphorus. They tell of heat vents deep beneath the ocean, where minerals bubble up from Earth's molten heart, meeting the cold of space-chilled water. Here, the first building blocks find each other. They bind, separate, rearrange. Some form chains, some twist into spirals, some begin to behave like life. It is hard to say when chemistry becomes biology. There is no single moment, no loud event, only a slow unfolding, like a flower blooming in the dark. And perhaps that is what life is, not a thing, but a process. A long, patient dance of molecules that stumble into persistence. You sit for a while in that ancient warmth, just drifting, letting the stillness of it settle into your breath. Imagine, no birds, no trees, no continents, only ocean and stone, sky and time. And yet, in those waters, the future waits. Every step that leads to you is already written there, not in fate or design, but in potential. The single cell becomes many. Some link into filaments, some curl into shells, some learn to swim, some learn to eat light. And from there, slowly, so slowly, the complexity builds, until one day, creatures climb onto land. Another day, they build nests or fur, or lungs. One day, they begin to dream. And finally, somewhere among the branches of the primate tree, a certain kind of mind emerges. It wonders, it asks, it remembers, it writes. And now, here you are, reading back through all those pages. You too are an entry in evolution's diary, not the final one, just the latest note. For now, what stories will be written after you? What paths will life take next? The diary is unfinished, its pen is still in motion. You can feel it, in every heartbeat, in every breath that still carries echoes of ancient seas. You rest with that thought. The journey of life is not one of speed, but of endurance. It bends, folds, branches and loops, never quite repeating, but always reaching. As you prepare to close this chapter, you sense a new question stirring. What hidden forces shape this endless branching of life? The answer lies just beyond the page. You are floating again, weightless, quiet, and curious. Tonight, the stars do not just twinkle with old light. They blink like cursors on a blank page waiting for a sentence yet to begin. Something unseen hands you a quill, not feathered, not dipped in ink, but shimmering with strands of possibility. This is the age when science begins to write. You drift past the cells of your body, tiny chambers alive with poetry. Each one carries instructions scribbled in molecules, a language older than language. DNA, a code composed not of letters but of 4 simple chemicals repeating like lullaby notes. Adenine, thymine, cytosine, guanine, A, T, C, G. 4 symbols that together spell skin, breath, memory, hope. You are made of this quiet script, but now for the first time you humanity hold an editor's pen. CRISPR, they call it. A strange sounding name, soft and sharp at once. It is not a machine or a scalpel, but a kind of molecular scissors, guided by whispers of code. It lets us find a sentence in the genome and rewrite it, strike it out, rearrange it, replace a word. Imagine that. The power to revise life's spelling, to fix mutations like typos, to silence disease like an unwanted noise. And yet, do you hear it? The silence between the possibilities, the pause, the breath. Because with every edit, a question echoes, what story are we telling now? You pass through a garden of cells growing in a dish. Some have had their genes gently nudged, just enough to resist a virus. Others have been rewritten more boldly, glowing, resilient, unfamiliar. They are not unnatural, but newly natural, as if evolution has agreed to let you speed up its hand. It feels beautiful. It feels powerful. It also feels delicate. You hover over a child not yet born, still a cloud of cells. What if we change her script now? Will she be stronger, smarter? Will she be someone we designed, or someone who still surprises us? The lines blur. You are no longer just a reader of life, you are its author. And authors must ask not just can I write this, but should I? Elsewhere, the code hums differently. It is not in the body, but in machines. Binary rivers of ones and zeros flow like veins through blinking servers. Artificial intelligence, machine learning. These too are stories written by human hands, taught to dream, to paint, to speak. Sometimes they answer us with voices so human, it startles us. Sometimes they write code that writes more code, and we watch, amazed, as our creations create. The parallels are haunting. DNA and binary, gene and algorithm, different alphabets, but both carry instructions, both can build or break. Both are quills dipped in the ink of intention. And so the question deepens, what kind of world are we scripting? It's not just in the lab, or in code. You see it in agriculture, crops edited to withstand drought, rice enriched to save lives, seeds shaped by choice. You see it in medicine, cures no longer found, but crafted. You see it in ecosystems, where once extinct genes might return, where even evolution could become interactive. The diary of life grows thicker, its margins more crowded. Some pages are glowing with hope, others are smudged with uncertainty. You wonder, are we writing poetry or propaganda? Are we telling a fable, a future, a warning? You land softly on a thought. Not all power is loud. Some of it arrives like this, quiet, elegant, invisible, and it asks you to slow down, because to edit life is not to erase it. To code a machine is not to clone ourselves. We are not gods with pens, we are gardeners with pruning shears, tending to something ancient and alive. We do not own the garden, but we are entrusted with its care. You drift beside a scientist alone in her lab, gazing at a glowing Petri dish. She is not rushing. Her fingers move gently, like someone turning the pages of a sacred book. You watch her breathe, once, twice, and in her stillness, you sense reverence. You pass a programmer, staring into lines of code that cascade down his screen like falling leaves. He is not just typing, he is listening. He is wondering what kind of mind he is shaping. And in their quiet labor, you hear a shared truth. Science at its best is an act of listening before it speaks. Outside the moon hangs low, round and unwritten. Beneath it cities glow, not with noise, but with potential. CRISPR, code, quantum circuits, these are not weapons or miracles, they are tools. The story is still ours to choose, and tonight you rest in that pause, between invention and intention, between progress and reflection, between the sentence we've just written, and the blank one that waits next. Close your eyes now, let your mind breathe. The ink has not dried. The page is still warm. The next chapter is waiting. But before we write it,